if it angers Muslims, or it's the Constitution and the First
That's right.
Amendment.
She's in the hip pocket of the radical Islamists. We'll be back. Stay with us. David Knight's going to be joining us straight ahead. All right, I'm going to hand the baton here to Leanne McAdoo, Mr. Bracken, and Mr. Knight, and just go get ready for research for the nightly news tonight. That'll be expanded right through the week here. But just briefly, we're listener supported. I'm not throwing folks under the bus. We've been lightly staffed here during the summer because of so much happening with the election and the rest of it. But I don't normally say this special's ending and then we extend it for a week and then extend it again. They just didn't take the special down. So I told them, the manufacturer is about to run out anyways, I told them get rid of this special tomorrow morning. So heads are going to roll if this doesn't go away by tomorrow morning. And the only reason I'm telling that story is I don't say this is going away and then it doesn't go away. This is just falling through the cracks so you can take advantage of it. The Alexa Pure Breeze, groundbreaking ion cluster technology. That's just one of the 4 filters in it. And why it's so special is it runs really, really quiet, almost silent. On its silent mode, it isn't as effective in that mode, obviously. But I've bought units that are close to $1,000 2 years ago that are the same specs. So a lot of this is prices have gone down. But leading competitors of this are $400. This is $184.95. Normally $249, but introducing the Alexa Pure Breeze, the same folks that bring you the Alexa Pure water filtration systems at InfoWarsStore.com, were able to offer 26% off the already incredibly low price. That will end tomorrow. So if you've been on the fence and been waiting or procrastinating, now is the time to take action. And finally, folks know this. You can go look. One run of this, it was gone for 6 months because it's got 27 ingredients. And again, California had lawyers pass standards so hardcore that there's more lead in the air than there is in an apple. So we have to really work hard to try to hit California standards. And when you're doing 27 ingredients, it takes a long time. This one took 6 months. I told them, hey, if it keeps doing this, take a few ingredients out, okay? And we'll just change the label each time, and it'll be a new formula every time. I'm not going to not have the product. But it really is one of the best parasite cleanses out there. It's safe, effective from the research we've done. Everything that's in this is seen as FDA GRAS certified, which just means in a law it's a recognized herb that's seen as safe. But still consult your physician before you even walk outside your house. You got to do that because lawyers said so. Before you breathe air, in fact, oxygen may not be good for you. Consult a physician before you breathe. But this sucker is amazing. You take it for 6 weeks. Smaller person, 1 or 2 pills a day. A bigger person, 3 pills a day. And you can do a 6-week cleanse with 1 bottle. And a lot of amazing things happen in my life. I can tell you that right now, along with the liver cleanse, along with the other products at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. The umbrella site is InfoWarsStore.com. And I want to thank everybody for your support, whether you're getting Vitamin Mineral Fusion, multivitamin juice drink, fruit punch flavored, or whether you're getting the joint and bone formula or Brain Force or Anthroplex or Secret 12 or the knockout sleep formula that people really rave about. I mean, I saw $19.95 for a bottle of melatonin about 3 years ago. I said, let's get organic melatonin and let's get L-tryptophan and let's get valerian root and all these other known healthy things that make you sleep good. Let's have it all be full dose, take it together, and call it knockout. 1 pill just helps me sleep really good if I need it. 2 will knock you out. I've talked to 1 crew member who couldn't sleep. I just took 3, slept for about 14 hours. So it's all seen as generally safe, but obviously, look out when you're taking knockout. It's not a game. But I want to thank all of you that support the broadcast. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. 10% off when you sign up for auto ship on any item and free shipping on orders of $50 or more at InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, going now to David Knight in the Situation Room to take over the honchoing of this. I want to thank Mr. Bracken for being with us. He'll be with us till the end of the hour. And I want to thank Leanne McAdoo for all she's done. And just want to let you know we've got reporters all over the world right now tracking what's happening. I'm going to go into the one of the research areas and try to really coalesce what's happening and try to make some major moves. We've got some of the best sources you can get, so I'm going to try to really relay in the next 24 hours to folks exactly what I think is going on. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today. But go ahead, David Knight, take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. When I was listening to what you were saying about Fast and Furious, we know, of course, that Fast and Furious was exposed. Even the New York Times said it was a false flag, shipping guns across the border in an effort to subvert the Second Amendment. And, of course, tied into that is the UN Arms Trade Treaty. But now what we have with Obama is we now have gunmen who are being shipped across the border as a false flag operation to attack the Second Amendment. That's essentially what we're seeing here with the open borders, with the increased immigration that we have, and with the attacks on the Second Amendment. And I want to point out to people what's going on in the UN. I think it's very difficult to try to get people to stand up for individual liberty. On the right, they stand strongly for the Second Amendment, but they don't understand what's happened with the war on drugs. On the left, they're starting to see the futility of the war on drugs, and yet they will not stand for the Second Amendment. We understand prohibition isn't going to work, but also understand, and people on the right need to understand this as well, the UN created the war on drugs. They laid out the 4 schedules. They put all the drugs in those 4 schedules in 1961, 10 years before Richard Nixon declared it. So what's happening right now in the UN with this UN Arms Trade Treaty, with all the regulations that they're doing, and of course it was just this last week. They're meeting now. They began meeting last week. This is the 6th biennial meeting, so they meet every 2 years. And it's interesting that it seems like every time they meet, nearly, we have a massive shooting event. I was there in New York back in 2012 as they were moving to push it at that point in time, and it looked like there was a lot of talk about it at that point in time. Things were coming to a head, but of course, Fast and Furious had just been exposed prior to that. And so then they started losing momentum. And then interestingly enough, we had the Aurora, Colorado shooting that happened at that point in time. They thought they were going to get some momentum out of that, but instead you had firearms soar through the roof, firearm sales. And of course, even before this happened, it was reported that for the last 13 months in a row, we've had an all-time high in gun sales. How do we know that? It's from the FBI doing background checks. Background checks. That's the one thing that we haven't seen out of all this. As they're talking about gun control regulation, and I want to get this comment from Matt Bracken, our guest. Matt, they want to push background checks, and yet this shooter worked 8 years for the largest security firm in the world. And during that time, he was investigated 3 times by the FBI for background checks. In spite of all that, he continues to hold not only his position as a security guard with a company that guards all kinds of things like federal buildings, nuclear reactors, that sort of thing, but he also has, in the state of Florida, a security officer license in Florida, as well as a statewide firearms license in Florida. So he's been investigated by the state government. He's been investigated by the FBI. Why was he investigated by the FBI? Well, because he was part of a mosque where a suicide bomber for al-Nusra blew himself up in Syria. And of course, FBI Director James Comey has talked about that, said, well, you know, we did these investigations because we're looking at people who were at the mosque. And we also had concerns from witnesses who said that he was very interested in videos by Anwar al-Awlaki, who Obama killed with a drone strike in 2011. But here's the interesting quote from Politico. Comey said, the witness said that Mateen's marriage, his child, and his job as a security guard assuaged all those fears. So in spite of the fact that he's got all these radical connections, he gets a pass. What's your comment on that, Matt?
Well, the more Muslims that they bring in, refugees, quote unquote, the more we're going to see this, and even down the generations, because the ones that we bring in, they might really be trying to just get away from Islam. But if their kids go to the mosque and get radicalized, they'll wind up being the next Mateen. Liberals want to attack tools. You can't uninvent gunpowder and steel. If we can't buy them, we'll make them. I went during a break. I just wanted to see, could I get there and back in like a minute? And I could. I went and I grabbed my own, this is my little Second Amendment militia tool. It's never assaulted anybody. It just shoots steel. It's shot a lot of steel. In fact, in a weekend, it can shoot cases of it. And it's just my militia Second Amendment weapon. If General Petraeus, if Hillary Clinton, if any of them think that myself, former naval officer, former Navy SEAL, I'm not good enough to own it, I shouldn't own it, because in their mindset, humans are just very fallible, prone to going crazy, because we're just emotional wrecks. So we have to take the tools away. It's not going to work. There are millions of these out.
Well, I think they're
already.
telling everybody that you're okay as long as you're wearing a uniform, as long as
Like
the
the guard
government
in
has done a
Orlando.
background check on you. And, of course, they did multiple background checks on him. Everybody gave him a pass. The state government gave him a pass. The world's largest private security gave him a pass. The FBI gave him a pass. What kind of background check are we going to do? And we're not doing any background check on these people that we're bringing in from these countries that are at war with each other and with us.
Well, they're trying to force the sheeple among us to declare war on a tool.
Yeah.
Instead of declaring war on the human heart. This is where it's going to happen. You're either a good person or a bad person. Myself, I consider myself a sheepdog, armed or unarmed, pistol, knife, whatever. I'm not going to just sit there and watch evil happen. And I'm certainly not going to be disarmed at the door by a search warrant party or any other kind of a party. If in that case, if it happened to me, I know that there are hundreds of people that would be taken as a signal. It's just not going to happen. Now, if they try something like that, I expect it to be under the cover or the smoke screen of some big national emergency where the power goes out. Sounds like a good plan, but it won't work. That's trying to ride the tiger. Read what I saw at the coup. All the guys in federal law enforcement, they know what I'm talking about. You can guard the SES class. That's the Senior Executive Service. Those are the civilian generals that really run the government, not the congressmen. The SES class think they're protected. But the way that it works, they're guarded by outlying perimeters. If you can't get the tyrant in charge, you just start plinking at their outer perimeter. And then pretty soon the guards decide they're not going to stick around to guard a tyrant. And then the tyrant's got to go on the run like so-and-so over there in Bilderberg. It's just not going to work. But my fear is the power goes out and then it's going to be game on. And if and when that happens, we're going to rely on our adherence to the Constitution, our American values, and we're going to fall back on the wonderful special operations training that we've been given. And not only have we been given wonderful special operations training, I have been to civilian shooting clubs where we've gone way beyond what I was doing, a generation ago in SEAL team. And literally, in terms of firearms. I tell people, look, they say, wow, Matt, you were a SEAL? I said, you guys are shooting better than we did. You've got better tools. You've got better training. So the people that think that they could possibly take our weapons away, they must be smoking LSD because it's not going to happen.
Well, I think what they're trying to do in terms of the information war, and I want to get Leanne's comments on this because I find it very interesting that the Obama administration is pushing the LGBT agenda so heavily, and yet here we have these same Democrats who are pushing the LGBT agenda. They're working very hard to bring in a group of people that hate the LGBT crowd worse than anyone who was natively in this country. That's the amazing thing to me. And to me, that says right there, besides the fact that they're shipping gunmen in across the borders instead of guns, they are trying to create this issue. Before I get a comment from you, Leanne, let's take a look at this NRA video, because this is something we were going to play last Tuesday. We were covering the primaries, because out in California, of course, there are massive gun control laws that are being queued up to run through. And Time Magazine reported, and this was over a week ago, just about a week and a day or so, new anti-gun control ads from the NRA seek to rally women and LGBT voters. And what they did was they produced a video that was take away our rights, take away our life. And here, 1 week later, it is absolutely amazing how prescient that was. But of course, we've been saying this all along. They were just putting this video out. They're going to run it in areas of California that had a large concentration of LGBT Californians. First, they showed it with a woman being attacked in a parking lot garage, and she defends herself with a gun. And then they shot the same video, and instead of it being a woman, they had an LGBT person. Let's show this ad right now. Okay, so you see this person walking out. Now, this one is the LGBT person coming out, walking into a deserted parking lot garage, looking around. It's shot in black and white, very dark. A guy rushes up as they're starting to put the key in the car, starts attacking. And this person reaches into their purse, pulls out a pistol, and pulls the trigger. And then the tagline says, "Take away our rights."